All right, bruh fans, we're talking season 2, episode 6, entitled More Than a Peck. And whoo, Bill was in for more than he bargained for when he explained what happened to Mike. So, wow. Yeah, I actually watched the episode. I was kind of mad because yet again it was not uploaded at 3 a.m., but it was at like 3:30, so I wasn't too mad because I woke up, did my sister videos, and here we go with bruh. The synopsis is Mike becomes paranoid after Bill's confession. These are his... Hang on. Oh yeah. These are his fashions. Alice has an idea to improve business. Yeah, trust me, that plot point goes nowhere. Sparks fly between Greg and the visitor. That was actually a pretty awkward but cute scene. And Tom's plan to help Mike and Pam backfires. When I tell you the ending had me going, whoa! Yeah, I mean it. Whoa. So, before going forward in the video, please take a moment to hit like, hit subscribe, click the bell notification icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post new content to the channel. Seriously, I don't know what's going on with the notifications. People are like, wait, I didn't get notified when you posted videos. Like, bruh, I just posted like 8 videos at once. Go check them out. Matter of fact, I posted all my haves and have-nots, House of Pain, Assisted Living, and sister videos up on the channel. Remember, I'm moving this weekend, so I'm blitzing through videos. That way I can focus on packing. And finally, follow me on social media. Links are in the description. I posted this in a majority of my Facebook groups as well as on the community tab here on YouTube. Trying to get the Instagram page to 30,000 followers. We're at like 26.5 thousand, I think. I've been doing some little funny videos over there, taking scenes from movies and some of these shows, and they've been going over pretty well, so you better go check them out. Now, what would I score this episode out of 10? There were several scenes that I was like, yeah, they're kind of dragging, or yeah, these kind of aren't necessary, in favor of more meat to the bones for some of these characters. Because I will say that, not to jump too far ahead, but the scene that had me going, oh damn, this is going to be a good episode, was about 10 minutes in, when Pam walks into the hospital room to talk with Tom. I'm like, oh my gosh, we've never seen these two really interact. I mean, the first time I remember these two actually interacting, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, was when Mike was in his drunken rage when he interrupted Pam's date and Tom tried to drag him away. I think this was right after he encountered the dean's daughter. And then I remember Tom was trying to be polite and, Pam was snapping at him. I mean, I understand the aggression because of Mike, but then it's like, Mike, get your ass out of here. I mean, Tom, get your ass out of here. So they actually had a good conversation. But if I were to score the episode, I would probably give it like maybe, and I don't want to do it too low, but there were scenes that I felt kind of dragged. Probably like a 6 out of 10, even though there were some good scenes, and I'll get to those later. And the cliffhanger had me going, I know she didn't. So now let's jump into the first scene. We pick up where we left off. Bill says that Pam kissed him, and pretty much Mike reacts exactly how Tom told Bill that he would react. So while I was kind of upset at Mike jumping to the conclusion, it's like you don't want to give your brother the benefit of the doubt that he didn't F Pam. And I'm going to try to refrain from using certain curse words in this video. So, Bill's like, no, so we were in the car, I was driving, 10 and 2. And next thing you know, she kissed me. And it was like, yeah, it literally felt like I was watching that scene from Family Guy where Brian goes on The Bachelorette and then like Stewie's talking in that little voice.
Got a compelling protagonist? Yeah, got a obstacle for him to overcome? Yeah? Little story brewing there, working on that for quite some time, huh? Yeah, talking about that 3 years ago. Yeah, been working on that the whole time. Nice little narrative, beginning, middle, and end. Some friends become enemies, some enemies become friends. Yeah. At the end, your main character is richer for the experience. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got no. You deserve some time off.
So, Mike, I just want to tell you what happened last night. After I drove Pam home because she was drunk and couldn't get a ride because her phone charger died. and we were just talking a little bit, and we were talking about you, and the fact that Mike's an asshole, Mike's a son of a you-know-what, and the fact that you are a good man, and pulled up to her house, and we sat out there for a little bit and talked some more. We were having a good conversation, but before she got out of the car, she decided to come on to me. She was feeling up on me, and I got a little hard, and she noticed, so she went in for the kiss a few times, but I pushed her back. I'm like, no, 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 like Destiny's Child, and she planted one right on my lips. It was more than a peck. Yeah, and I just want to let you know I told her to get out before anything went too far, and she said Regina was on the phone, but I didn't say she was on the phone.
Article 2, Brian. Seems to me you should spend less time working for the paper and more time working on that novel you've been working on.
Yeah. So we did more than a peck, but it wasn't F, and we didn't F. So basically, Bill is just telling Mike, I'm trying to tell you, but I will admit Bill was kind of dancing around his words. I'm like, we better not spend 5 minutes on this. But no, we did not, thankfully. We pretty much got to the point where Mike kept interrupting because, like, don't play any games. I'm like, well, Mike, if you give Bill a chance to explain, even though he is kind of taking forever to explain, Mike just assumes the worst. And I have to give Bill credit. Yes, I think it was stupid for you to do this, even though Tom told you not to do it, because Bill was reminding me of Andy from Sisters, where it's like, hey, I'm trying to give you some, that's right, because Andy was asking for advice from everybody during season 2 about the whole Gary situation. Yet she decided to do the opposite of what she was advised to do. Just like Bill actively looked out for information from John, but then he's like, yeah, you're not the right guy. So he goes to Tom, and then he gets sage advice, but he decides to do the opposite. So you can't be mad at the results. Yet I do give him credit, because I do agree with Bill that it's better that Mike hears it from his bruh about what happened as opposed to Pam. I have to agree with him there. So, if Mike wants to decide not to believe his bruh and assume the worst and kick him out of his loft, then that's on him. But I do still feel bad for Mike. The poor guy is just, he's just trying to do his job. And then he has all this drama coming to his doorstep, first last night and now this morning. So after that, Bill gets on the phone with John to tell him about the situation. I'm like, well, Bill, what are you telling John for? It's like, he tried to give you advice, but you're like, oh, you're not the right person to talk to about it. So, you should have just talked with Tom, even though he was trying to do his job too. But we're getting to Tom in a second. So John is like, hey, how about we just invite him out for drinks tonight and we'll talk. It's like, man, he didn't want to have anything to do with me. Because, I felt bad for Mike because it reminded me of the season 1 finale after Pam walked out on him and he threw that chair. He was like, fuck! I think when Bill was trying to leave, he was going a bit too slow for Mike's liking. So when Mike was like, put some pep in your fucking step, I was like, dude, Mike, stop. That was hilarious. Okay, so I don't really have much to say about the next scene. It's basically John and Alice at the sandwich shop. I'm guessing Laura isn't part of season 2. Laura, she was the other employee at the restaurant. And she was kind of like in my mind, she was kind of like the younger version of Miss Alice, because I didn't realize it until I just thought about it. I'm like, wait, if Laura isn't around, that could explain why Miss Alice is a bit more vulgar than in season 1, because she doesn't have another character to play off of for being vulgar as well. So she's upset due to the fact that there's a lack of customers. And, John, what are you doing on the phone? Well, Ma, ain't nobody in the store. Well, that's your fault. And it's apparently the summertime and they don't have a lot of customers during the summer. Look, I only worked at a restaurant once, and that was like for a month and some change at a Bojangles. And during the summer, there was a rush, mainly because travel buses and all. But I would think that during the summer, wouldn't you have more customers? But then again, people out for school. But I don't know. Either way, there's no lunch rush during the summer. And Alice's grand idea is to go topless, and she ain't talking about the salami. So, John is a bit, come on, Ma, don't talk to me like that. So a customer actually comes in, white dude just wants, Frappuccino or whatnot. I forgot what he ordered. Look, I've only been to Starbucks like 3 times in my life. So Ms. Ali, I ain't making all that beep. And I'm like, wow, okay, so you finally get a customer and order something in the lower tier. Basically, he orders something. I forgot the name of it. I was like just kind of blown away that was actually on the menu. And basically the sandwich or whatever was, kind of named after her kitty cat. I'll leave it at that. And while she goes to the back, the dude runs out and I'm like, well, at least Alice kept her promise not to talk like that in front of John's friends, but John didn't clarify about customers, so yeah. All right, so we go over to John calling Mike, and Mike is still pissed off. I mean, literally, John is trying to explain, like, look, man, the whole thing with Bill didn't do with Pam what you think that he did with Pam, and, Mike is just pissed off. He doesn't want to have anything to do with the bros. He's like, you know what, bump this. And that's when I noticed that Mike kind of reminds me of how John was feeling towards the beginning of season 1 in regards to not getting the money from his bros for, what was it called, level 28, right? And he was pissed off about that. And then he got the drug money from Leon, I think was the name of his cousin. And, he kind of felt like, I don't need y'all, bros, bump this. I don't need y'all. I thought y'all had my back, yada, yada, yada. So I feel like the same thing is going on with Mike. However, it's like, I feel like Mike is being more irrational than John was, because with John, he asked all bros for a contribution and they were like, well, bruh, we helped you out with the sandwich shop and you haven't really made that take off and you're barely paying us back for this. So why would we invest more money for a club, So with Mike, it's like, why are you snapping at John? It's like he literally had nothing to do with the Pam situation. It was all Bill. But in any case, we go over to the scene that had me going, okay, this is going to be an interesting episode. Because I'll tell you, I'm a sucker for any sort of scenes where we have characters interacting when we haven't really seen them interact before. So, Tom is on the phone with somebody. I'm going to assume it was about John. I assume it was John informing him about the situation between Mike and Bill. And Tom was like, okay, I got a patient, but I'll talk to you later about this. We'll figure it out. So the patient comes in. I'm like, it's Pam. And I'm like, what? Because I'm like, I know she ain't got no business here aside from causing some damn trouble. But when she came in, I'm like, dang, Pam, looking good. I don't even know how to describe it. She was looking so good.
All motherfucking women look good. Y'all like a bacon and egg sandwich look good.
Yeah, that's right, Bernie. Like a bacon and egg sandwich. Seriously, those things look delicious. But I don't know what it was. If it was like the white, bottom, she was wearing like the white pants, the white boots, or the red, didn't her hair have a bit of red in it? I don't know. Either way, when she went in for a hug to Tom, like, how are you? And I'm like, Tom, you better watch yourself. Watch those hands. You want to be in a situation you don't want to be in. That's foreshadowing. So again, this scene, I was actually talking with a couple people about this because we actually watched the episode around the same time frame. And a couple of them were like, okay, this scene is kind of dragging on. To an extent, I'd agree. But like I said, there are a couple things. I love character interactions that we rarely get because it's like our first time seeing, like Tom and Pam in a one-on-one setting. But the thing I like about this scene versus, let's say, Miss Alice being vulgar for like 7 minutes in a row is the fact that we're getting some honesty and vulnerability from the characters. If I were judging the episode off of this scene by itself, I would probably give it a 10 out of 10. I'm not joking here at all. And no, it has nothing to do with how Pam looks. It's about the context and material of the scene. Now, let me tell you what one of my favorite things that Pam said. You know what? I needed to talk with somebody, so I had to talk with the level-headed one of the bruh group. And I'm like, that's good old Tom. Tom knows what he's doing. So she talks about the fact that there are some issues going on with Mike. The fact that, I love him. And I'm like, she does? Because earlier in the first scene, I was kind of like conflicted of how I felt about Mike in that scene because he was Remember at the end of episode 5, he was telling Bill, like, man, it doesn't matter if she's with somebody else. I'm over that girl. But now all of a sudden, because he assumes that Bill effed her, that, oh, well, I love her. And it's like, what? But, you know, when Pam's being vulnerable and saying all the things like, I just want him to have eyes for me. You know, I just don't understand how to tackle the situation. And Tom rightfully says, you should just talk to him. And I'm like, there are so many, these people should just talk moments in shows like this and Sisters. But at the same time, I respect bruh for pointing that out, because in real world, that's honestly how it works. I mean, let's be real here. Sometimes talking to someone isn't just email or text, because context can be lost in the messages back and forth. You know, either video chatting, talking on the phone, or better yet, in person really is the best way to go. Trust me, I'm a person who's a meme junkie, an emoji junkie, and I sometimes might use them in the wrong well, I don't use them in the wrong context, but sometimes I might use them at the wrong time, where it's like, this is a serious matter. Why did you send me a meme? But it was funny, huh? Yeah, trust me, I've gotten in trouble for that a few times. But in any case, so what I liked about Tom in this scene is when Pam's telling her side of the story, once Tom calls her out about the whole kiss with Bill, like, wait, you know about it? Everybody knows, Pam. It's not a secret. And he's like, okay, what's going on? He says you called Regina. She was in on the whole thing. But when you called her, he didn't hear anybody on the other end of the phone. I'm like, Tom, that's right. You're a doctor. Write her up. And I'm not talking for a prescription. Write her up, because you got the receipts. But every time Pam was trying to, you know, cut him off, saying, no, I got the text. I don't want to see it. I don't want to be in this. And I'm like, well, Tom, I understand your stance, but technically you're already in this, basically from the point of Bill telling you what happened. And now Pam's come in to tell you what happened. And while I'm sitting here, I'm thinking the whole time, wait a minute, how much is this going to cost Pam for seeing the doctor? I mean, sure, she doesn't get a shot or anything, but, you know, Tom's on the clock. That advice ain't free. I'm just saying. So in any case, she ends up showing him the phone, and the messages are right there, because Tom's like, okay, so why are y'all playing these games? I mean, I loved how he called her out for that, because of the fact that women always talk about, you know, men always play games and everything and whatnot. But I mean, yeah, men do, but so do women. Well, I have to admit, women do it more strategically. And not to mention, you know, her reaction to Tom already knowing about the situation. It's like, Pam, men and women both play games, and guess what? Women aren't the only ones who talk. So why are you so surprised? And I will say this, you know, Tom's big plan is, hey, how about this? 7 o'clock, come over to my place. I'll invite Mike. I think he said, you know, basically the bros will be in full attendance, and you bring Regina. And as soon as he said it like 3 times, they're like, no, I'm going to bring her. I'm like, she ain't going to bring Regina over there. She ain't going to bring Regina. Because I'm just thinking to myself, when Tom asked the question, wait a minute, you say Regina was involved, right? So how would Regina have known that Bill and you would have been in his truck last night? I was like, give this man a gavel, because he's playing the judge right now. He knows what to ask. Because again, just looking off of Pam's body language and responses and whatnot, I'm like, something ain't right here. She knows she foul. But no, this apparently was an elaborate ruse. So this was a great scene overall, but here's my thing. I'm going to be completely honest here. I think this should have been the first scene that Pam had in season 2. I know we would have missed out on Drunk Pam. I still have my key. Seriously, that was my favorite scene of season 2 so far. The way she just slid in the door. And of course, you know, the Bill and Pam kiss scene. But the reason I think this scene should have been the first Pam scene of season 2 is because of the fact that the way Pam was being honest and vulnerable and speaking about how she felt about Mike, that to me truly connected to her final scene in season 1, when she walked in on Andy and Mike and then told Mike off and then left. Because of the fact that, of course, she's sober now. She's talking about her feelings. She's talking about how she feels for Mike. But then the reality of, Is he really ready for a committed monogamous? Is that the word? Monogamous relationship. Mono meaning one. Monogamous relationship. So even though she never mentioned Andy by name, I was like, yeah, this definitely felt like the same vibe of, I believe the way Pam is acting now because this is in relation to the situation the prior day when, Mike was dealing with the whole breakup and Andy thing. Wait, was it the day before or a day and a half ago? Look, I kind of lost track of time. So in any case, we go over to the next scene. Bill goes over to John to get him, because basically we go from like early morning, afternoon to the, nighttime. John is about to get picked up by Bill so they can go over to Tom's place for the whole meeting. And John can't go without his phone because, his mom's in the back getting ready. I will admit, this Miss Alice scene here was way better than the one at the sandwich shop because she comes out, when I saw the wig and like the leopard outfit, I'm like, what's going on here, Miss Alice? What you doing? She's going to the hip hop awards, and when she started quoting Savage, Meg, I was like, come on now, I'm a savage, ratchet. Look, I only listened to the song like one time and like 3 TikToks, but it's catchy as hell. So again, John, your mama didn't flirt with Bill. She kept her word. I'm like, you know what? Go on, Miss Alice. Go on. Do your thing. But she did tell Tom, John to say, hey, don't come home early. And just like John was saying, like, what about your heart condition? Glitter everywhere. All right. So this is when the episode really ramps up. It really gets good here. So Greg's just chilling in the apartment, Tom's apartment. And there's a knock on the door. Who is it? It's the police. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? I'm thinking like, I know if it's the officer, I hope it isn't to report somebody done stole Greg's car, because remember, she didn't catch the carjacker or the car break-in, and it is a nice car he has and he's new to the neighborhood. But no, he opens the door and it's like Officer Grills turned up the heat, let her hair down, wearing a dress, got a bottle of wine. I'm like, what's going on here? So apparently she had some girlfriends of hers in her apartment, and they kind of dared her to come down to the room to, offer him a housewarming present of a bottle of wine. And she's like, hey, it'll be really embarrassing if they see you being mean to me. They're looking through the peephole and everything. So he invites her in, and this was a quirky, awkward, cute scene. I really have nothing to break down here. I'll talk about it, but like in terms of the full analysis, it's not like I'm doing a thorough investigation or anything. This was a cute scene. I actually liked it because, to be completely honest, I would be acting. See, there was this one scene in season 1 that I really related to, and that's when John and Charlie interacted for the first time, and he got her phone number and everything, because it was kind of cringe on John's end. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not going to sit up here and act like I wouldn't act like John's acting. Justice for Charlie. I want her back. So also, I forgot to mention, before Pam left the hospital, she's like, oh yeah, Tom, how are you? It's like, I'm doing all right. I'm going through some stuff, but it's okay. I'm like, where my boo Valerie at? Okay, sorry about that. My apologies. So we go back to Tom's apartment, and so they're sharing. Well, not sharing. Well, they're sharing some wine. I was about to say sharing a glass, but I'm like, no. Greg gets a couple glasses. They sit and It's adorable because of the fact of how they interact with each other. So he gets the glasses, pours the wine, and comments, wait, are you barefoot? Oh, yeah, is that a problem? Oh, no, you have pretty feet. And it's like, I was like, I'm like, well, she does live right down the hallway. Because at first I'm like, wait, did she walk all the way down here without shoes? But I'm like, no, she walks down the hallway. And it's like, well, Jeremy, wasn't that an awkward comment? She has pretty feet. What's wrong with feet? I'm kind of a foot guy.
Shut up!
Anyway, so they talk a little bit about themselves. She's impressed about his, profession in being a surgeon. And it's like, oh yeah, well, I don't want to keep you up too late or anything because, well, I know you got to go to work in the hospital tomorrow. And it's like, oh no, I need to get my license so I can actually practice in this state. But, they, it's almost like, the origin story of, I just wanted to get to know you because at first I was about to chew you out for parking in the red, but then I saw that look in your eyes, compassion, and it's like, I just wanted to get to know you. And when they gave each other a toast, and it's like, to getting up the nerve. Yes, to getting it up. What? So yeah, that was again, cute and funny. Very good scene. So anyway, there's a knock on the door, and I'm like, oh snap, cause I'm just sitting here thinking, wait, it's late at night, and are like, Tom and the bruhs and Pam going to show up, or what's going on? But no, it was actually Officer. Wait, is it Darla Grills? I think Darla. So basically, Darla. Wait a minute, Darla. Why does that name sound familiar? Hang on, let me double check. Broadcasting, IMDb, Officer Darla Grills. Darla. Why the hell does that sound familiar?
Dear Darla, I hate your stinking guts. You make me vomit. Your scum between my toes. Love, Alfalfa.
Yeah, so she thinks it's her girlfriend, checking in on her. So she opts to leave, and he's like, no, take the glass with you. No, I can't take the glass. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's right, Greg. She can't take the glass. That's Tom's glass. But he's like, oh no, it'll give you a reason to come back. And I'm like, smooth, even though that isn't your glass. So she leaves, and then Tom comes in. It's like, whoa, what's going on here? There's a lot of activity going on in the hallway. And basically, you could hear Darla off screen saying, I should kill you for that. Because at first, I'm going to be completely honest here. At first, I thought Darla was making up a story about her girlfriends, telling her to work up the nerve to go over to see Greg. I thought it was a situation where she just made up a story to come over there, kind of like Pam made up the Regina story, even though she claims it isn't fictional. But we live in the day of Photoshop and messages. So who's to say that chain of messages wasn't, edited where it's like, hey, here are the messages I sent to Regina. I screenshot it and then I unsent them. I don't know. I'm just saying we didn't see the phone. Yeah, I said it. So in any case, Tom's just like, oh, I see. It's like, you know what? You're not even here barely 24 hours and you already saw with the ladies in the apartment. I don't even know my neighbors like that. Trust me, I can attest to that. So in any case, Mike actually is on his way as well as the other guys. So trust him, leave. I was like, what? So Pam comes in and I'm like, where's Regina, Pam? Greg sees her and is like, whoa, hey, I'm a good listener too. And then, whoa, and I'm single. And it's like, first of all, Greg, you just shared some wine with the officer. You better not be running around cheating on somebody that you're not in a relationship with yet. She's an officer and probably arrest you as revenge. But in any case, no, they introduced themselves like, oh no, I'm his college buddy. Oh, this is Mike's girl. Well, not exactly. So basically the plan is, hey, Pam, Mike doesn't know you're here. You go hide in the back. Okay, Tom. And I'm like, but Tom, why didn't you ask where's Regina? So Mike shows up not too long afterwards and he's like, wait, Greg? Hey, what's up, man? What you doing? Yeah, I'm moving over here to Atlanta. Okay, great. And from there, Tom's like, hey, Greg, you mind going to the back where we talk for a little bit? No, I got you. I'll go. So Greg goes to the back. I'm like, wait, is Mike going to go to the restroom or something and then think that Pam and Greg are messing around? I'm like, please, Lord, no, Mike, come on. No, don't do Mike like this. No. So Tom is being level-headed and reasonable because, Mike is, in his usual attitude. Like, what you call me over here, man? I ain't got time for this. What's going on? I'm pissed off. And Tom's like, look, let me tell you about Bill. It's like, no, I'm done with his, bitch ass. I'm sick of that. I should knock his ass out. Yeah, he's just, Mike's going on his. Is Mike drunk? Because I've only really seen him like this in season 1 when he's drunk. And he's like, no, I'm about to, F him. I'm done with y'all. Yeah. It's like, I felt like, what was it? Like Kevin Hart trying to be gangster and a grown little man. It's like, pew, everybody gonna die. I'm done with this. Run it. Yeah. It's like, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, Bill's going to show up and then it's going to be a cliffhanger where they're staring each other down. Like Bill's like, what's up, Mike? And then Mike's just going to stand there like, Okay, you can't really see my face because I'm not on camera, but he'll look pissed. But no. You want to know what happens? You want to know what happens? Pam comes from the back in a robe. Walks over. Mike's like, what the fuck? She comes over. Tom's like, no. And she feels up on him. And then Tom, he puts, he kind of shoves her back and puts his hands up like, the damn police on his tail. It's like, it felt like Shaggy. Wasn't me. You ain't catch me red-handed, Mike. I don't know what's going on here. And that's the end of the episode. I was like, Pam is going to destroy the bruh group with her shenanigans. Because I'm thinking, Mike's going to fly off the handle. And it's like, Greg, if he comes out the back. Because he was standing right there when Pam walked in. And it's like, whoa, no, Mike, it isn't like that. Pam came in and she was told to go to the back to surprise you. I don't know what's going on with the situation in the road. What's going on here? Hey, Mike, do you believe me? Do you believe me?
I was fixing a couple of drinks for $1.09 to celebrate your wedding, and I tripped on the rug and spilled a drink in her lap, and she went upstairs to rinse out cold water, dress her stain wouldn't stay there, and Lamont's robe was on a nail in the bathroom, she put it on, and me being the gentleman that I am, and when she put the robe on, I put mine on so I wouldn't embarrass her. Ain't that right, baby? I mean, darling.
That's exactly what happened.
And you expect me to believe a cock and bull story like that?
Yeah, so let me just say, overall, while this episode had its weak points, it was good in the context of, I like when we have good character moments. I do feel like Pam is being messy, despite being fine. It's just the fact that I hope that the Mike anger at his bros isn't stretched out for too long. Because my fear is that they'll play it out longer than it should be, kind of like in season 1, with the whole Bill chasing after Regina and ruining the wedding thing. Like, seriously, the wedding arc was the worst part of season 1. It was like the Garlic Jr. saga of Dragon Ball Z. Look, if you're an anime nerd, then you know what I'm talking about. But basically, I think that the fact that, Mike even brings up, how bruhs before hoes. And it's like, you're letting one, and Lord, look, don't strike me down. I love me some Pam. But the way Mike was wording it, it's like, we can't let this one hoe come between us. And it's like, well, you're letting Pam come between everybody. At this point, Pam, here's what I think is going to happen. Oh, Mike caught her with Tom and he's pissed off. What's going to happen next? Is Pam going to go down to the sandwich shop and try filling up on poor John? Is that what's going to happen? Yeah, watch it happen. Yeah, that's going to happen. I mean, he's the only one of the group left. She ain't tried to fill on yet. And it's like, I feel bad for Tom. Tom was just trying to be the peacemaker. It's like, I don't know. It's like, let me think of a good example here. Tom has like the Obamanisms down. I'm going to get the bros together. We're going to have a good conversation. And we're going to discuss reunifying the group. Well, Pam came in and caused a little struggle. Mike's at everybody's throats. Doesn't believe that Bill did not have sexual relations with that woman. And now he's starting to take it out on me. I actually called a meeting in the cabinet at my apartment. Had Greg in the back. He had a barefoot woman in here earlier. Took my wine glass and I didn't question when I saw her in the hallway. John was on the way. And Pam was supposed to come over with Regina. And it's like, literally, it's like Obama giving a speech. He's talking, I'm stupid. Look, for real, if you haven't noticed it by now, I think Bruh is probably my favorite show to review. I feel like I have a good time reviewing it. Sure, there are some thought-provoking things to talk about, but overall, I feel like I could add a little spice to it because I just feel like Bruh allows me to do so, whereas the other shows definitely take more of an analytical approach. But with Bruh, I talk about, as a guy in my late 20s, holy crap, I turned 30 in like 2 months. Sorry, that just literally hit me, reality. But yeah, it's like, the dating game and whatnot. These things are relatable. But basically, it's like, it's like Tom's giving a speech. He's trying to clear his name. And then like, imagine like a mistress tries to come up on the podium and feel on him. And Michelle's sitting right there. You see what I mean? It's like, I was minding my business and Valerie popped up and fell on me. Which, to be honest, I wouldn't mind that myself. But, yeah, this is a big mess. And it's like, I get Mike is mad, but if there's anybody you should be able to give the benefit of the doubt to and hear out, it's your boy Tom. Seriously, I hope next week Greg pops out of the back and explains what's going on. Not to mention, I bet when Mike's going off, that's when Bill and John are going to pop up, and then it's going to hit the fan even more. But a couple things, though. Speaking of John, you know, when Bill came over to pick him up, he's like, no, I need my phone. What if the bartender calls me? What bartender? Oh, yeah, the one that gave me the number. I'm like, well, I don't think she's going to call you in a happy tone because of the fact that, what's her name, Lydia? You and Bill split the bar before paying your tab. So it's like, if she calls you, it's not going to be on the best of notes. And on top of that, you got the situation where, I'm going to be real here. In order to kind of redeem Miss Alice for the vulgar scenes, I feel like there might be a scene where Pam realizes that she's doing too much. So we might have a scene between her and Alice talking, which I do believe we got one of those towards the end of season 1. And I think that Alice was the one telling her, it's like, oh, he said he's working late. He probably got a woman at the loft. And then she went over, and then Andy was there. So then I know Regina talked with her as well. And yeah, even though there are times where Miss Alice can throw in those vulgar lines in the, you know, speech, she is a good person at heart. And I can't fault her for that. But at the end of the day, she still said, you know, should have gotten an abortion. And it's like, come on, Miss Alice, that's your boy. That's your boy. But overall, like I said, I had a good time watching the episode. There was one thing I noticed, and no, this isn't me saying that it's bad. I think that when I watch Bruh, I kind of notice more of a double Dutch approach when it comes to the dialogue. What do I mean by that? It's like when I look at characters like, let's say, Greg, I kind of can tell, like, you know, the characters are on the set and they're waiting for their lines to come out. And again, this isn't a nitpick or a bad thing. It's just it's a cool observation. I talked with somebody about that last night. Well, a couple hours ago from the recording of this video, not a cast member, but another fan. And they were like, yeah, I actually heard in an interview one time that the characters have like earpieces. So sometimes Tyler Perry can be feeding them lines as they're doing the scene. So that's why it could look like they might just, you know, they're standing there waiting on their dialogue. And sometimes the delivery comes out a little bit differently than you would expect because they got an ad lib right there. And I'm like, oh. So again, I just thought it was an interesting observation, especially with one of the new characters, you know, in the mix. And I think it's cool. You know, we got Darla, we got Greg, Natalie, and Lydia hasn't had that many appearances, but I like how we have all these new characters, and yet it feels like they fit in naturally with the rest of the cast. Not to mention, I like how they kind of gave Greg his own little side quest, even though I do feel like, bro, don't be flirting with Pam when you had Darla up in here 30 seconds later. Just saying. It's like, well, Jeremy, what are you talking about? You just, you know, express love for Valerie. What are you saying? You with Pam now? Is that it? It's like, what? Is Pam your girl too?
Your girl ain't with you. She with me in spirit.
I mean, if she feeling up on everybody in the bruh group, then I'll be the honorary number 6. Cause I think Greg is going to be put into the group. So, you know, I mean, if Pam wants to flirt with me to make Mike jealous, by all means. I just got to make sure he's not the tax lawyer I go to if I need an audit. So, with that being said, yeah, this was a roller coaster of an episode where it had its low points, but when it got to the high points, it got really high. How high too? If you don't understand that reference, look it up. And I just can't get over the fact we only get one flipping episode a week. I'm just sitting here like, what the hell, man? I need more. I know the episodes are longer, but I mean, the cliffhanger literally had me going, Pam, why are you doing it like this? And what was the one thing I didn't trust about this? What the one thing I learned about the episode? Don't trust barefoot chicks. First of all, you got Darla strolling around with no shoes, and I'm like, well, then again, it was proven that she wasn't lying about having girlfriends who told her to go over to the apartment, because at first that's what I thought. So her being barefoot wasn't a problem. But Pam, yeah, what did she do? She took off her heels, took off her dress, and put on Tom. Poor Tom, he lost a wine glass, and a woman that he ain't even with is wearing his robe. Now imagine if Tom has a girl over at some point, and then it's like, Tom, this robe, yeah, you like it, right? Why does it smell like another woman? Uh-oh. Yeah, see? Thanks, Pam. You're ruining everything. But I love you anyway. All right, guys. Had fun with this. I don't know. This video is kind of all over the place, so I don't remember if I said it at the beginning of the video. But if I were to kind of rank, the Tyler Perry shows for the week, by a mile, Assisted Living definitely was the best show. House of Pain is behind that. Bruh is neck and neck with House of Pain. Sisters Falls at number 4. Have and Have Nots at the bottom. So that's my personal ranking. So yeah, I will do a live stream later tonight. That'll be like my last live stream before I move, because as you know, Wi-Fi at home isn't all that great with a house full of people. And like I said, fingers crossed, the whole finalization of my house details can be put away within the next couple of weeks here. So the sooner I get the house, the sooner I can get my own Wi-Fi, and I can be back in the game. So this was great. Let me go ahead and get this edited and posted. I got a few more sister videos to get done, so by this afternoon you should have all the videos I need to post for the weekend. We'll be good to go. But let me know what you thought of Bruh episode 6. Seriously, you haven't been watching the show, check it out. Or you can wait until it's, bingeable once all the episodes are posted. Like I said, I don't make any money from BET Plus, but I do watching anyway. So if you want to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. And with that being said, I'll talk to you soon.